God put people in your life for a reason. Others are there for a season. And it's very important that you recognize when people's seasons are over. Is the season over? Or have you decided, because you're desperate, you've decided to drag these random people into the new season of your life? Because you just need validation. You need all of this shit and people and things around you.
Too often, we base our value on how someone is treating us, how perfect of a life we've lived, how successful we are. The problem is, all of those things can change. If you're getting your value out of how people treat you, then if they hurt you, they disappoint you, you're going to feel devalued.
You have spent your entire life trying to gain the approval of other people. Everything you do is determined to get other people's acceptance and approval. You talk the way you do in order to get other people's acceptance and approval. You dress the way you do in order to get other people's approval. You do certain things in life, some things you wouldn't even want to do, but you do them because you want the approval of other people. And you've been trying to gain approval your entire life, and you're never going to get it.
I have an opportunity. I have a choice to decide who and what and where I want to go. What do I want to experience in my day? Because you're calling me doesn't mean I'm going to call you back. Because you're inviting me doesn't mean I want to show up. Because we're family, because we're friends, because we grew up together doesn't mean that I want to be a part of any and everything that you want me to be a part of. Why? Because my experience with you hasn't necessarily made me feel good about my life or my experience at the end of every night.
Why would you walk in the opposite direction of your dreams? The man wishes for happiness and thinks the thoughts and commits the acts that take him to certain despair. Failing in life is failing to think today. Failing to care, to climb, to learn, to keep trying day by day. What have you got to lose? Only the despair and fear and guilt of the past. So start the new process. You can begin a new habit no matter how small it is. Whether or not you start and whether or not you continue are all that is important. Recognize that the start of the better life, the happy life, is today. Start the new journey today. Get some momentum going on your new commitment to the better life.
I want to share with you what I learned. Matter of fact, I wish somebody had told me when I was your age what I'm about to tell you now. I wish I knew it when I was a younger person. I wish I had learned this early in life. I wish I had learned it early because it would have made all the difference in the world. I'm going through all of this to tell you something because there's somebody here today who has been feeling rejected and left out, and you want to know why you don't fit in, why nobody accepts you, why are you not loved, why are you not supported, why won't they give you a license, why won't they recognize your gift, why are you not acknowledged, why are you not seen, why do they walk around you, why do you get distant, rejected? And as you look back over your life, you see a series of rejections. But I got some news for you. I got a word for you because I want you to understand, after every time David got rejected, something spectacular happened to him.
Do you love yourself enough? For a lot of people out there, that's what holds them back in life. So whatever your goal is, you're going to come to a time when you're going to have to stop counting on other people to help you. And you're going to have to stop focusing in on how much people have let you down. And you're going to have to really realize, like, this thing, life, your journey, this is up to you. And whatever you want out of it, it's how bad are you willing to go after it.
The more you love yourself, the more you believe in yourself, the more you focus on your own intention, the less you have concern with getting that acknowledgement and recognition from other people. The words out of their mouth are about you, but what they're really thinking about is them. The more you begin to understand this, You really stop spending so much energy on worrying about what other people think about you. In other words, your own acknowledgement, your own character, your own belief in yourself supersedes what anyone else could ever say about you.
Quit feeling inferior because somebody close to you is not celebrating you. Quit trying to make people be for you that are never going to be for you. If you needed their approval, you would get it. If you're not getting it, that means you don't need it to become who you were created to be.
Some of you have spent all of your life trying in your mind to please an unpleasable person. And you wanted to show them wrong. And your dad or your mom said, you're never going to amount to anything. Why can't you be like your brother? And you, in your mind, thought, I am going to earn their approval. And you have tried and you have tried and you have tried to win that person's approval, and you haven't got it. And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for the pain you've been in, but let me just tell you something. That person that you've been trying to get their approval all your life and you haven't got it yet, guess what? You ain't going to get it. If you haven't got it by now, you're not going to ever get it.
So if there's any area in your life that you need to clean up, start working on it. Get the clutter out. Start letting some of this junk go to make some room for something else. Do that with people. There's some people who's cluttering up your life. They serve no purpose whatsoever. They're just holding and occupying a space that somebody useful could be holding that space. You don't even have time to look to see what else is out there because you all have all of these people surrounding you that's not enabling you to grow. I don't have the luxury to waste time. I'm expecting some great things from life. And so I have to spend some time working on myself and developing myself. Some people wish they could do better, but some people expect to do better. Where are you on that? Take care of you. Look out for what truly satisfies you. Make caring for you the highest priority in your life. We're not taught to look out for ourselves. We're not taught to take care of ourselves. So make a conscious effort. Make you number one priority. Your health is more important than your family and any and everybody. Don't neglect yourself.
It's very important that we not compare ourselves with other people and that we don't go by how we feel. You don't have to feel confident to present yourself in a confident manner. To hold your head up and to boldly go and do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. When you talk to people, don't mumble. When you talk to people, look at them. We need to realize that God wants us to be bold and aggressive in a right way, not obnoxious.
Happiness is a joy that most often comes as a result of positive activity. It is a result of an awareness of the full range of life. Happiness is being able to explore the offerings of life. Happiness is both receiving and sharing, reaping and bestowing. Happiness is activity with purpose. Happiness is freedom from the negative children of fear, such as worry, anger, low self-esteem, envy, greed, and so on. Happiness is contentment with the tasks of your life. It's love in practice. Happiness is both a grasp of the obvious as well as an awe of the mysterious.
Because God selects what people reject. Don't you turn around and do the opposite. Don't downplay what makes you destined. Don't reject what makes you special.
Discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment, the bridge between inspiration and value achievement, the bridge between necessity and productivity. The first key to discipline is awareness of the need for the discipline to make the changes. What must I do and what must I become to get all I want from my life? The eagerness to maintain your new discipline deliberately, wisely, consistently, to master the circumstances of your daily life. Disciplining ourselves to fulfill our natural potential to become all that we can be. Opportunity is always looking for ambition and skill in action.
The fact of the matter is, not everybody who is giving you feedback is necessarily a hater or necessarily antagonistic to you. See, sometimes they're just giving you feedback. Sometimes they're just concerned. You need to learn to distinguish between criticism concern, and feedback. And they are three completely different things.
You got to take what you know to be true when you feel joy and apply it when you feel depressed. You've got to take the blueprint of what God showed you is supposed to look like and just build. You got to build an ark when you've never seen rain.
Wealth, the possession of great financial resources that improves the quality of your life and gives you added dignity and expanded lifestyle. That's a unique word. It rings of success, influence, possibility, freedom, power, benevolence, and excitement. Success is a very basic process. It doesn't have any mysteries, it doesn't fall out of the sky, nor does it fall into the realm of the miraculous. Success is a natural result that comes from the consistent operation of the practical fundamentals. To be successful, you don't have to do extraordinary things. Just do ordinary things extraordinarily well.
I want better for you. The question is, do you want better for yourself? Don't claim to love yourself and you're waking up every day and deciding to include these people, things, and situations in your life. That is not moving like a man who truly loves himself. When you love yourself, you want better for yourself. That's what it is.
Well, I think any business, doesn't matter if you're coming from the moon or you've been here forever or not been here at all, you have to find, you can't just come up with an innovation. People say, well, innovation is the key. I know that all businesses, Deming talked about this, so many different teachers have talked about it. It's all marketing and innovation. Drucker is saying all businesses is marketing innovation. Well, what is that? Innovation is finding a better way to meet people's needs than anybody else does. And it's not enough just to innovate. You got to keep innovating. Apple's a perfect example. Yes, it's the most successful company in the world, but the leader was such an innovator. He drove an innovation culture that right now they're in a little bit of a lull. Now, most of us are hoping that they're going to turn that corner. Yeah. But they're still doing great products, but they're not real breakthroughs. They're giving us some of the same stuff, but they're not making it unique enough. And then the second part of a business is marketing, which is getting people to want to do business with you. Yeah. Well, today we live in a world where it used to be that you could put out, the average person would watch advertisements, and after 4 ads, on average, at least in America, I don't know what it is in Europe, if they were going to buy, they would take some initial buying action. Now it takes 16 exposures. So the cost has gone crazy. So how do you break through that? The only way to break through that, some people do it by spending so much money and creating crazy ads that make you pay attention because they're so funny or bizarre or raw. But a lot of those ads, you don't buy their product. You laugh. Yeah. You know the company, but you don't buy their product. Right. Because it's not necessarily bringing you in. The other way a small business can do it is you've got to figure an innovation that meets a need that's missing. Right? It's not enough just to have innovation. A lot of business owners go, oh, I have this great idea and I'm so excited and they're going to launch it. But there's not that big a need. And if you're going to build a business of scale, it has to feel a significant need in an innovative way, and then you got to market it. Now, how do you market it? Well, the best marketing of all is having a product that meets people's needs so well that the word of mouth is off the charts. And then the second way to do it, because there's no replacement for that word of mouth. And then the second way, and by the way, that's what's made my career go for 36 years, right? People saying, oh my God, not it was good, not it had a good time. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. There's nothing like it. You got to go. People think they're crazy until they go and get an experience. But then on the other side of it, you can also market today and have a huge advantage if you make your mentality of marketing what I call VAM, V-A-M, value added marketing, where instead of trying to compete for eyeballs, you go find out who that client is and you find a way to meet their needs and you do things for them that really meet their needs. I don't care if it's educate them, provide them an insight, something that gives them more convenience. The actual marketing itself does that for people. And then they begin to understand you, recognize you, like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. And that's the way to do it today, because for example, I was at Nike and they called me up and they said, we want you to do a TV ad for us. And I said, look.
I saw it.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Amazing.
So my first response was, I don't do commercials because I did silly infomercials for years because it was the only way to reach people, but I don't do commercials. And they came back and they said, but a bunch of your friends are going to do it. And I said, really? They go, yeah, we're going to have Richard Branson and Serena Williams and Kanye West.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. And I'm like, and he said, it's going to be you're going to be the center of it. We're going to pretend Kobe is you. And they give me this whole thing. So I called Richard and I said, are you really going? He goes, yeah, I'm going. And Serena, I'm really going. So we go to do this piece. You imagine how much money they spent to get all those people in one room to do this tongue-in-cheek ad that really doesn't change. It's nothing about the product whatsoever. It's just to try to get your eyeballs and attention. So most small businesses don't have those resources. They have to make up with it with an extraordinary product that meets the needs, and they got to make up with it by finding a way to do value-added marketing so that people say, this is someone I want to do business with. You can blow out a Nike if you can create a direct relationship with the consumer, and you can do that today because of social media and because of the impact of social media when you serve people.
At the end of the day, a lot of times people think inwardly about their company or their product. A lot of times I want to think, what am I promising the consumer? And how will I deliver that promise? I have to think about what's in it for that end of the day person who's going to come out of their pocket and buy it. So what am I promising? How am I going to deliver it? And now do I have the assets to deliver it accurately? What changed my life wasn't the fact that I wanted to become a millionaire. What changed my life was the fact that I wanted to make these clothes for myself, for other people, because nobody respected this market. I was doing something I loved, and then all of a sudden it started to take off.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, once that passion finally, caught on, and you finally decided, this is something that I want to move forward with, and a little bit about that first product and how it kind of all took off from there. And then did you ever decide, at that point it was like no slowing you down, right?
Yeah, well, when that passion, when that thing grabs a hold of you, and as they say, when the needle is finally in the vein and you're really hooked, it's like being in love. It's like, you thought you liked somebody when you were 13, 14 years old, and, that was just something new and it was puppy love. But when you're 22, 23 years old, and you're out there sitting there making life decisions and saying, I can see myself with this person for the rest of my life, and you're getting butterflies every time you see them. That's what it is when you have a business and you have a company that you love. You can't see anything else. And, I would have dressed people till today for free if I could. And I'm sure you hear that for everybody else. An artist will rap and sing, anytime they can be seen. And just like the kids in school who always got kicked out in special ed who are comedians, they can't help it. They know that that's the biggest bully in the schoolyard, and they can't help it but crack a joke, even though they're going to get their head cracked open, but they just love what they're doing. And that's just how it was as a business. When I fell in love with FUBU when I saw that first person walking down the street with my product on.
And for like an entrepreneur, forget a salesperson, how about just an entrepreneur who's looking to start a business? Well, if you can't sell, if you can't influence, if you can't persuade, good luck trying to get your business off the ground. I'm not talking about just your customers. I'm talking about the bankers, the people with venture capitalists, your vendors, your credit card processor, the people who work for you. How do you get people to work for you excited? How do you get them excited? How do you get them to want to buy into your vision? At the highest level, what sales really is the transference of emotion. And the emotion you're transferring is this emotion of certainty. That someone feels certain, yeah, it's a good thing, it's going to help me, it's going to fill my need. When you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to start a business, and you're recruiting people, well, you're selling people on your vision for the future, your vision for this company. If you can't do that, good luck trying to get great people to work for you. It's nearly impossible, which is why you always see, the people, they say, oh, he's a visionary. Well, that's true, but typically not only are they visionaries, they also possess the ability to sell the vision to other people, to inspire them, to motivate them. So selling is not just like, people think of selling, oh, well, I'm not a salesman, I don't need to. Well, yes, you do. You need to learn how to influence. How about trying to get your kids to make their bed, or do their homework, or believe in the value of education? How about trying to get a landlord to give you a reduction on your rent, or to extend the lease the way you want? How about trying to negotiate terms? You understand, it cuts to everything. So I always look at this, say, you know, when I say I cracked the code on influence, what I really did essentially was I was, you know, by working backwards almost, by saying I'm going to start at the end and go to the beginning, say what has to happen before someone says yes. I was able to take that and put it into this system that took the no-name, talentless guys and turned them into millionaires.
There's a brilliant leader by the name of David Marquet who wrote a book called Turn the Ship Around. And he had an experience as a submarine captain on the USS Santa Fe, where he realized that as much as he knew about submarining, you know, he'd been a submariner his whole career, that put on this new submarine, he learned the hard way that he actually didn't know how the submarine worked. He made an order that nobody knew how to do it because that didn't exist on that sub. And so he realized he had no choice but to trust his people. And he went through this transformation as a leader of telling everybody what to do to allowing people to tell him what should be done. And I've learned a lot from him, and I highly recommend his book. And I've really learned that, which is, you know, at the top of the organization, as David says, the people have all the authority, the leaders have all the authority, but at the bottom they have all the context, right? And so you can't just push all the context up, you have to push the authority down. And so the responsibility of leadership is to train people, make sure that they have the skill set, help build their confidence that they have the confidence to do what needs to be done. Yeah. They have to have competence and confidence. Right. And that's your job. That's the only job of the leader. It's like a parent. Mm-hmm. Make sure they have competence and confidence. You know, make sure your kids get schooling and make sure that they believe in themselves. And then leave them, you know? And so I've done the same thing. Instead of sort of showing people how I would do it, I want them to learn how it's done, you know, and feel good about themselves, and then just however they do it is how they do it. Yeah. You know, and the result is remarkable. People feel better about coming to work. They feel like they have something to contribute. They feel more valuable, as opposed to just being told, this is how I would do it, or I'm going to do it this way, or do it my way. So yeah, completely changing my understanding of my job as more like a parent than a manager has had remarkable impact.
We are not a company that normally China call it. We call ourselves a company running a platform, a company that is running an ecosystem. We are almost everywhere. People say, Jack, you know, you are in the B2B and B2C, and you're calling C2B on the finance and online payment, logistics, cloud computing. You are everywhere. Not because we're greedy, not because we want to do it, because we have to do it. If we do not do it, China e-commerce in the years will collapse. I remember 9 years ago when I started Alipay, people say, Jack, don't touch the financing sector because it's illegal, you may be in prison. And we taught ourselves if we don't do it, the China e-commerce will always like a chat room. Everybody say, it's a good thing, and I don't pay, you don't get the things. So I say, well, put me in the prison. Let's make sure that Alipay, the payment solution, works. And people say the payment solution is such a stupid idea. It's an escrow service. I pay you, hold the money, and you get the things. You pay the money. If you don't get the things you want, return the money. They say it's a stupid product. And I say, as long as it solves the problem. I like stupid things, you know. Let's make stupid things smart. Keep on improving every day.
The wonderful news about the human condition is you can get good at anything that you set your mind to. It's just not going to be easy, and it's not going to be fast. But the willingness to put in that work is what's going to separate you from everybody else, and I'm begging you to see yourself right now, today, as average.
Do you have that ability, being capable to soar amongst the clouds? Do you really think that's how success works? The only way that the eagle is going to eat, it has to work for its prey. Now have that mindset.
You hold on to it. You embrace every no, and you let each no make you callous to no. You get so strong that when you hear no, it turns you on.
As no better than anyone else, but I beg you, with more force than I know how to convey with this language, to see yourself as malleable, to see yourself as capable of becoming anything you want to become truly extraordinary, if you can find within yourself the discipline to stick with it long enough. And as Steve Martin said, perseverance is a great substitute for talent. Everybody wants to talk about who's talented. Everybody looks at the person with innate talent as if they have something magical. But to me, it's a gift, it's a handout, it's a freebie. It hasn't been earned. And no matter what it is, it's only the beginning. Even somebody that has talent, even if you get an early win, if you let somebody outwork you, if you let somebody who has more perseverance, more grit than you, then they are going to outperform you on a long enough timeline. The only thing I can guarantee is you will be outworked by somebody unless you pour your heart and soul into getting great.
The more you can layer in multiple people, the stronger and stronger that force is. So that changes our thermostat through association. It's a huge, 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 huge thing. People say you are who the 5 people you hang around. This is why. They adjust your thermostat. That's number one. Second way you can change your identity is through doing short bursts of something in a window of time you've not done them before, and they change the thermostat temperature permanently, almost like a water line in the pool. So if it's a certain amount in the gym, or a certain amount of phone calls in your business, a certain amount of appointments, you make a certain amount of money, oftentimes you're never the same again. You've seen this in your own net worth. I've seen it in mine. There became a point where I made a leap in a short window. I was never really the same again. I could go back a little bit, but not back where I was before. So it's activity or successes, achievements in short bursts of time.
Most people's will to win is for sale. It's for sale.
Most people's will
is for sale.
Yeah, it's for sale.
They can be bought. I can't be bought. So if we give you if we give you just enough money, if there's a certain dollar amount, you'd stop working hard.
wow,
Give you a
love
title, you stop working hard.
If you don't take days off, if you put yourself into it as if your life depended on it, when you act like that, then you've got a chance to be great. And as Robert Horry said, pressure can bust pipes, but it can also make diamonds. You've got to want that pressure. You've got to want things to be hard. You can't seek out the easy life. You can't just hope and pray that you can uncover inside of you some talent that's laid dormant that you didn't know about that's going to let things be easy for you. Don't want the easy. Want the hard. Want the pressure. Want the thing that's going to turn you into something. Because when it's easy, you don't work for it. When it's easy, you don't push. When it's easy, you get surpassed by the person who has to give it their all, who's prepared to do blood, sweat, and tears in order to become that thing that they want to be so badly because they are so fucking angry that they were never given anything. And with that chip on their shoulder, they're determined to become anything that they set their mind to.
We give you a car or a plane or a house.
Dude, that's the book, bro. That's the book.
Is that the book? Yeah, that might be the book.
That is the book. So your will to win is for sale.
That's right. And I decided once I realized that, because I watch it happen with people in their body and their finances and their family and their faith, whatever it is, I'm not for sale. So there isn't a place you're going to buy me. You can't get me. There's not a stop, a place, a destination where you're going to get me to relent, to quit. I want to improve. That doesn't mean I don't struggle with my motivation from time to time. It doesn't mean I don't get confused or down. Of course I do, but I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. And you know this too. We see friends of ours, even guys in their 60s, and they sold their company for blah, blah, blah. And now they golf 9 days a week or whatever, you know? That's fine, but they're for sale. They were bought. You were bought. You were for sale. I'm not for sale.
I remember going, all the work I put into this, all the hopes my family and I had, all the travel ball, everything we did, all the games, all the great plays, all the errors I made, the fly ball I dropped at Fullerton, you know, all that stuff. I was going to get drafted, then I did all that stuff, right? The guys I played with, over.
Hey, I can't get anything unless I go after it. The eagle is not sitting around waiting for something to happen. The eagle is going about its business and doing what it's supposed to do. You got to be that eagle. The eagle may enjoy the hunt. Do you enjoy the hunt? Or do you feel sorry? Or do you feel like this is too much for you? I don't want to work like this. I just want it handed to me. The eagle is not sitting around waiting for something to happen. The eagle is going about its business and doing what it's supposed to do. What happened is that you got comfortable. You felt that you didn't have to work anymore. You got high, but you don't know how to go a little bit higher. You thought that because you made it, you made it. You didn't make it because you just got what you got. You got to keep going up a little bit more.
Like a flicker, man. Like a flicker, that crap was over. And we're on that bus ride back, and I remember thinking, man, I should have tried harder. I should have played harder. I should have given this more. You know that stuff guys do, man. You're running sprints. There's 2 dudes who run every sprint full speed, and then there's the dudes who run 80%, 6 of them. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's kind of cool. You know, it doesn't matter. I'm not the fastest guy, so no one will know when I don't win the sprints. You know those guys. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This is a guy who kind of doesn't really catch the ball on his throwing side in the outfield. When he's one, catches it over, does everything wrong, throws it back. That's the thing that costs the guy getting thrown out at third and you lose by a run. Because you just practice like that. Guy in the bullpen is kind of like not really focused. He's just kind of getting loose, right? Instead of just laser focused on everything he's doing all the time, right? You don't want to leave here. You don't want it to end. Whether it ends in the big leagues, it ends in the minor leagues, it ends here, or you never even get on the field this year, okay?
You can't just sit here and be complacent with your life. You can't grow just sitting still. You can't eat sitting still. You can't satisfy your hunger sitting still. This is how the attitude must manifest itself. You got to fly. Be the eagle within yourself. Be that person that no one has ever seen before. Be something unique. Be something great. Be something that the world will look back and say, who is that person? Where did they come from? That is something unique about that individual. That person is so hungry and so driven. Somebody asks you, what pushes you? Your response should be, I got to have that ego attitude.
Listen to me very closely. This is not a year that you're going to be doing a lot of talking. This is the year for grinding. This is not the year of dreaming. We're not dreaming no more. We're not wishing no more. We're not watching other people ride the ride no more. We're not watching the people buy homes no more. We're not watching people cash checks no more. We're not doing that no more. This is our year. This is our year. This is the opportunity of a lifetime, and you are the people that can get it done. So let's stop talking and let's make it happen. You can be seated. Let's go.
I want to go to audience questions, and I hope you all have sent some to the Iconic Tour hashtag. I'll go to those in just a sec. But from politics back to entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurship, you've built businesses, you've faced business challenges, you have talked to people like the people in this room, entrepreneurs. What do they ask you most, and what do you tell them?
Time. Time seems to be the largest issue. How many of you have time issues in running your business? Have a life and your time? Can I see your hands out there who feels like that's there? So you can see it's about 90%. There you go. Right? But the issue of time is not the real issue. The real issue is that they're operating as an operator, not an owner.
Yeah.
And so what I start to do in the beginning, you have to do both, right? But what I start to do is show them how you have to be able to break off and get other people to do things. But more importantly, I teach people. I do a 5-day boot camp. I call Business Mastery a couple times a year. And we bring in businesses from all over the world, literally. And we have people just starting a business, and we have people with, businesses that are doing $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion. And what you find is that there's a common pattern amongst all these group of people where they find themselves, if it's a small business, they do everything because they feel like they're the only one who can do it, or they tried someone else and they failed. Well, that happens in every business. You have to begin to leverage yourself, or you're just going to be self-employed. And you'll never have the scalability. A business is a system that adds value even when you're not there. And you as a leader have to get good enough to both hire people and train people so that you're not a manager. A manager works with people to make sure they get the job done while you're there. But if you have to be there, I run 33 companies. I mean, every 4 days I'm on a plane, train, helicopter, on stage somewhere on average in a year. And I got 33 companies. There's 12 I manage directly, but I couldn't do that by management. I do it by leadership. I build leaders who can make their own decisions. I hire people that are the best of the best. Now in the beginning, that's hard because you have no money, right? So you hire the best, it's called you, and you pay them nothing. Right? And then now you try to hire other people, and what do? You hire your friends, which, you know, is a disaster because they're not as skilled, and you love them, and it's hard to manage them. And then I hired people that were really talented, but they were mean. You know, they didn't share my values. And so eventually you get to that place where you can find the right people. But I think the most important secret for the growth of any business, the question I guess on how to get over the time, and the answer is you got to take 2 hours, 90 minutes a week with your team of 1, 2, 3, 2,000, and you got to meet where you work on the business. And I teach people a format called 7-7, where there's 7 areas of a business that you cannot miss: marketing, sales, optimization, the financials, culture. And I'll make sure that each week you and your team focus on that, not the day-to-day business, but how do we strengthen our marketing, not just for this run, but overall how we build the brand. What do we do to change our sales process? How do we optimize the business? How do we spend no money and grow the business 30% in the next 3 to 6 months? And when you take small markers in the business that are critical and you improve them 5, 10, 15%, but you do 12 of them, you'll grow your business 120, 130%, 140% because there's a compounding impact. You don't just get the improvement you've made. So I try to help businesses to make those changes so you have time to think and be strategic. Because if you're just running, how many of you are stressed? I'll be honest if you would. Today, being here and not being at your business, how many feel some stress in your business being away even for a day? Okay, write down, I'm a business operator, F that, right? I'm gonna become a business owner, you've got to be.
Well, I'll give you a very simple process. I was teaching this to someone in Japan yesterday, actually a very large number of people in Japan yesterday. And it starts with a piece of paper and you. A piece of paper and a pen or pencil will make you rich. And we won't go into goal setting, it's a whole separate process, but make a list of everything that you have to do tomorrow. The best time to make your list is the night before. If you make a list of your whole day for tomorrow, your subconscious will work on your list overnight, and you'll wake up in the morning with ideas and insights that are sometimes quite amazing. So you make a list, and then you look at the list, and you ask this simple question. If I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, which one task would I want to be sure to get completed? And put a circle around that, your list. Now, when you get up in the morning, whatever time you start, and that's a very interesting point, wealthy people get up in the morning by 6 a.m. Poor people get up at 7 or afterwards. Wealthy people get up earlier, poor people get up later. Real simple. So if you're getting up around 7 o'clock, you're always going to be poor. For the simple reason, by the time you get started, the day is half finished, and now you're checking your email and you're talking to your friends, and then it's lunchtime and coffee time and spam time and everything else. Get up at 6 o'clock and develop a ritual. Get up, exercise, then sit, plan your day, get organized, and start to hit it at 8 o'clock. And the first thing you do is you start on your most important task. And then you concentrate single-mindedly on that task. You do not turn on your email. You do not turn on your telephone. You don't do anything except that one task. And you just do this one task until it's completed. Now, you've already agreed with yourself and the world that there's nothing more valuable in the world than you could do than this one task. So do this. And if you develop a habit of getting up in the morning and starting and completing your most important task, it will transform your life. It's one of the most incredible productivity habits ever discovered. And every person who discovers it, they see their income, their productivity, their performance, and their satisfaction just explode. It's very simple. The question is, do you have the discipline? Do you have the self-control, the willpower to start and complete your most important task? If you don't have it, you can develop it with practice. If you develop it with practice, it soon becomes easy and automatic. And if you just do this, your productivity will double the first day.
Well, most successful entrepreneurs have gone bust, right? You know, Henry Ford, an old-time entrepreneur, he went bust 5 times. You know, look at Steve Jobs. His own board fired him. You know, Bill Gates was taken before the Supreme Court for monopolistic practices.
Right.
Even my friend Donald Trump went down $1 billion. I only went down $1 million. So the average person is so afraid of those losses, they never get ahead. Because at school they teach you if you make a mistake or if you fail, you're a failure. But that's not real life. A baby learns to walk by standing up and falling down, standing up and falling down. And our school system punishes you for making mistakes. That's why my poor dad, an academic, was so unsuccessful. He was terrified of making mistakes.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
Imagine that you're looking for a stable partner, right? So you might think, well, what do you want in a stable partner? And at least in principle, one of the things you don't want is too much mismatch between you and that person on the 5 fundamental dimensions. So for example, if you're really extroverted and you have a really introverted partner, you're going to engage in continual conflict about how much social activity the two of you should subject yourself to. And it's very, very difficult for people who widely differ on those dimensions to come to consensus, because it's not just a matter of opinion, right? It's really a matter of different, if you're looking at extremes, of really different types of people. And the thing about introverts is they just don't enjoy large-scale social interaction that much. One-on-one they're often fine, but in a group they don't like that, and it tires them out. Whereas a real extrovert, it's like you isolate them and they just wither on the vine, because a huge part of what actually motivates them in a positive way is tangled up with social interaction. And so if you're an agreeable person and you have a particularly disagreeable partner, you're also going to run into problems, because the agreeable person will say whatever you want whenever, and the disagreeable person will say, well, I'd like to know what the hell you want for a change, and be much more harsh and much more demanding in the situation. And the agreeable person is going to find the disagreeable person harsh and unpleasant, and the disagreeable person is going to find the agreeable person wishy-washy and unable to stand up for themselves. And again, that's actually one of the primary sources of tension between men and women, because women tend to be higher in agreeableness than men. It's about half a standard deviation, which is quite a large difference by psychological standards. So there's the problem with agreeableness. With conscientiousness, well, if you're conscientious, you're industrious and orderly. And orderly people seem to be sensitive to disgust, which is something we'll talk about in detail later. But our latest idea is that, it's not my idea, it's actually the idea of my graduate student, Christine Brophy, is that industrious people find it unpleasant and unsettling to not be doing something. So it isn't so much that industriousness makes them happy or fills them with positive emotion. That would be more extroversion, right? Because extroversion is the positive emotion dimension. It's that industrious people can't stand sitting around doing nothing. And you know, this is speculation, but you know, human beings are obviously always engaged in the exchange of labor, especially the reciprocal exchange of labor. And you can imagine that in a community where everyone knows everyone, the people who work hard are going to be pretty irritated on a fairly chronic basis with the people who are completely unproductive. And my suspicions are that plenty of people who were completely unproductive in the history of the evolution of our species were wiped out by people who were unhappy with their lack of productivity. And so I think, generally speaking, human beings have this sense of ethical obligation with regards to one another to share labor. And people who are conscientious really, really feel that. So they feel bad if they're not busily working on something that's productive all the time. And so the advantage to being with someone conscientious is, well, they're going to work like mad. But the disadvantage is they're going to work like mad. So, you know, if you're looking for a partner that you want to relax with or have fun with, or who isn't uptight, then a conscientious person is probably not a very good choice. On the other hand, if you're a conscientious person and you're living with someone who's really unconscientious, that's good because they might be able to help you relax, but you're not going to be happy with them because they don't work nearly as hard as you do. But even worse, on the orderly dimension, you know, some of you have had roommates and maybe you're more orderly than your roommate. What does it mean? It means you're annoyed by mess before they are. And you don't have to be annoyed by mess much before your less orderly roommate for you to be the one that's always running around picking things up. And so actually one of the things that's emerged from the psychometric analysis is that women are slightly more orderly than men. And I suspect that has something to do with the, what would you call it, inequitable distribution of housework. Because even if imagine that your proclivity is to be triggered by disorder 25 seconds before your partner's. Well, you're going to end up, it doesn't take much difference for you to be the one that's always concerned about the mess first. So anyways, and so if you're a really orderly person and you live with a disorderly person, well, good luck getting along with them. They're going to regard you as like uptight and over concerned with details and unwilling to relax, that's for sure. And they're going to regard you as, well, just a bloody mess. And how can anyone possibly live with someone like you? So another reason why it's useful to understand your personality is because I think it gives you a better crack at finding someone that you can actually live with over the long run. And we don't know what the optimal, I don't think you want to live with someone who's exactly like you, because then both of you have the same strengths and weaknesses. And there's a bit of a problem there, right? Because maybe an agreeable person can use a bit of a disagreeable person around them to balance each other out, and vice versa, right? So we don't understand the optimal balance for long-term thriving in a relationship, but I think we do understand the fact that if you're too different in your traits, that where you're different is going to constitute a chronic source of conflict. The next most important thing is trust, man. It's like there's no marriage that's successful without trust. You've got to tell each other the truth. And one of the reasons that Jung believed that marriage and an oath, and Carl Jung, as a bond was necessary, it's really wise. It's like, you know, telling the truth to someone is no simple thing, because there's a bunch of things about all of us that are terrible and weak and reprehensible and shameful and all of those things, and they kind of have to be brought out into the open and dealt with. And you're not going to tell the truth about yourself to someone who can run away screaming when you reveal who you are. And so the marriage bond is something like, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to handcuff myself to you, and you're going to handcuff yourself to me. And then we're going to tell each other the truth, and neither of us are going to get to run away. And so once we know the truth, then we're either going to live together in mutual torment, or we're going to try to deal with that truth and straighten ourselves out jointly. And that's going to make us more powerful and more resilient and more and deeper and wiser as we progress together through life. And I think that's absolutely brilliant, because if you leave the back door open, man, you're going to use it, that's for sure. And the oath is there, and this was Jung's commentary on the spiritualization of the human pair bond by Christian marriage, for example, which emphasized the what would you call it, the subordination of both members of the marital union to a higher order personality that was embodied in the figure of the Logos. So the idea is that in the Christian marriage, for example, the man isn't the boss and the woman isn't the boss. The boss is the mutual personality composed by the seeking of truth in both of them, and that's conceptualized as their joint subjugation to the Logos. And that is absolutely dead on, man. It's like the ruler of your marital life should be your vow to tell each other the truth. Because like in hard times during your life, when you've done something stupid and idiotic that might take you down, and you don't have anybody that you can turn to, if you have a partner that you can trust, you can go say, hey, I made a big financial mistake, man, and it's really torturing me, and I feel like a complete idiot, and it's really dangerous. And the person there is going to help you figure out what to do about it. And they're going to know that when they make a stupid mistake, and they're bloody well going to, that they can come and talk to you, and that you guys are going to work your way through it. And that's a big deal. And so, well, you look for someone that you're attracted to, that you love, and then you look for someone that you can bloody well trust. And then you tell them the truth. And that way maybe you can get through life, and you can have someone to weave the rope of your being with, and together to make your joint rope stronger, and you can have some continuity in your narrative, and you can have children, and then you can have grandchildren, and like you can have a life, man, and there's nothing. You're so fortunate if you can manage that.